What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Profits and Updates. Today we're going to focus especially on Bitcoin and Ethereum. We have some updates that can be very interesting, especially when it comes to the US dollar and how it's going to impact Bitcoin and Ethereum. So far we are 2 weeks into the Bitcoin ETF launched, or basically Bitcoin ETF launched. The ETF launched about 2-3 weeks ago. And we're not seeing a lot of volume in the market, right? So on the charts right here, we have the Bitcoin chart. We are currently after the biggest update that we did after the ETF launch, and we talked about what is happening and what is the reason for it to correct, all explained in the update before, why even though the crypto community is strong bullish on it, even though the ETF was launched, even though ETF is net positive, so people are or basically all these big hedge funds are buying crypto and it's net positive. Not a lot, but still, and all of this in the first update that we did, or in the last update. And now what happened is basically we plumped into currently a buying zone, which is the buying zone out of the old sequence that we also talked about in the last update. But basically we have two major goals for Bitcoin right now, and we have to see how Bitcoin behaves on the market in general, which is from the ETF launched, we plumped and went through a buying zone, so we couldn't hold this buying zone, so the bears won over this zone. The bulls lost, because if the bulls would have won, we would have finished the sequence and then started the correction, but we didn't have enough buying pressure. People didn't see Bitcoin on a fair price to buy it, right? So always understand and don't forget that a price is where people want to buy or sell, right? And people didn't see fit buying Bitcoin over there, which basically is smart and makes a lot of sense, right? Especially if we are still yet to see the big event of the BTC halving happening, right? And after the Bitcoin halving, mostly a couple of months later, the real bull run started over the last cycles, and the cycle beginning is always marked after the big halving, right? Basically big event, the halving. So over here we plumped down into our new buying zone, which is basically the old buying zone from this whole sequence, right? So it is not kind of like a valid sequence in terms of we are in the sequence and then market didn't correct. So we have a lot of uncorrected price action over here, which is basically this whole move from here until finish of the sequence, and I will make it a little bit more visible for you guys. So this whole sequence, basically, since we have been here, we had a very nice correction over here. We started to build a lot of stability, overreacted the blue sequence, and over here we are in an overreaction zone where we started to find new sequences over here that are valid and that are also activated. And this whole sequence over here, so this whole move is completely uncorrected, right? So what we basically want to see, and what especially I want to see, and what I'm waiting for, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, is that this move is going to happen, that we're going to plump into the 31,800 zone, which is basically probably going to happen in the next couple of weeks and months before the halving, right? Where we're just going to get better prices, because who really wants to go majorly buy Bitcoin right now in these prices? No one, right? People want to see it first crash another 20-30%. Market has become smarter now. You also have to understand that Bitcoin is dominated right now, but will be dominated, and is going into the direction of being characterized through smart money and not stupid money anymore. In the past we had stupid money, so let's say the ETF would have launched a couple of years ago. What would have happened is that price drops 20, 30, 40%, all the idiots lose money, and then we go up, right? But now, since we have more smart money, people are more smarter about investing in any ways, I feel, and the information is just getting bigger. Communities such as our communities are educating people, means that no one's buying at that price, right? People don't see fit buying Bitcoin at that price, and what I really want to see is it plumb down to 31 or 32,000, where our buying zone is gonna continue, right? Or basically we're gonna go in with our next big portion of money, which we are just setting up aside right now, okay? Now, currently in that zone that we are in the buying zone, where we are seeing a reaction, which is not the buying zone that I've been looking for to do anything, and I didn't do anything. I entered a trade on Ethereum, which we're going to talk about in a second, which is very nicely in profit. But we are in this buying zone over here, as you can see from this part of where we just went up and rallied up, and then we started to correct a little bit, build these sequences. From that point, I started to build up these sequences over here. Obviously the orange one is the failed one, where we failed the bullish level, so this one is invalid. This is basically the ETF launch over here, and then you see the drop. Okay, so this is a buying zone where we are seeing a reaction, and out of this buying zone we have a smaller sequence, a secondary sequence, let's call it like that, that is bullish, right? So out of this bullish reaction here, we are seeing a bullish sequence that has been built up over here, and we are currently in the so-called target levels, and what we would like to see is a correction over here. So it's going to be very interesting now to see if we're going to continue to build up bullish momentum over here, and we get price a little bit higher, maybe because the traders are getting in, we're getting more volume, and no one is really selling Bitcoin, no one is buying Bitcoin, no one is really touching anything right now. And then maybe we see something like that, like a drop, right, which would be basically from our last high, our correction into this playing field over here, which is also very interesting. This is the bearish, so this is from the orange sequence basically, or basically the bearish correction level from this move, right? So this whole move here, needs a correction, which would be this one. So this one is the correction level for, and might sound a little bit complicated, but I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. This is the correction level for the bearish sequence, right? Because we have bullish sequences, and the orange one is the last bullish sequence, and we failed the bullish sequence. We have a primary bullish sequence, which is the blue one, which we want to see correct to 32,000, right? So now we're gonna more go into deeper and lower time frames and see what could happen, right? So what could happen is basically scenario number one. From here on, we just drop down, right? Which is basically not just going to be a clean drop, most likely. It's going to be a move, right, in waves. Or we move up again, go into a correction level over here, and then we start to drop, right? So we can still go bullish. So for right now, I'm very, undecisive on Bitcoin. I'm not going to do anything because we are reacting bullish. We have a bearish sequence, which we are getting into the bearish levels right now, which we also are reacting, as you can see over here. Price doesn't go up over the bearish correction level, right, which is the contrary correction level. At the same time, we are reacting out of a bullish one, reacting bearish. Very difficult right now. The last thing that can give us a little bit of guidance is the EMA 200. The EMA 200 is the exponential moving average, so price average, focused on the last 200 candles. And the candles, the newer ones, are more important. That's why it's exponential, so they count in more. And it builds us kind of like a price line. Okay, where do we see price going? What is price doing? And price in the H4 is supporting bullish sequences and structure. In the daily, we are seeing that we are doomed to have a correction. Price is still, basically the moving average is still pretty low in that sense. So we can see a correction. And the same thing, and that's kind of funny to see, is that you can see the moving average for the weekly is going into our buying zone, and that's what we want to see, right? What we want to see is the moving average doing something like this, okay, building the constant support for the next bull run, right? Something like this where price can bounce off. But that always also means that we can basically come back to this place, right, and then go up again. And that's something that I would like to see, because all of this move, the whole move since our last low, which is 15,000, up to today 42,000, but highest point 49,000. All of this needs a little bit of a correction to build more stability, right? And we are looking forward for this to happen. So that is my analysis on Bitcoin, these two scenarios that we talked about. I'm not touching Bitcoin right now, as you also can see, very low market volume, as you can see over here, this whole thing here. Which I'm gonna just do like in whatever color this is. All of this move over here is just like, as you can see, there's nothing really happening. We are going sideways, so there's no volume. Fair price, right? People are on a fair price right now. They say Bitcoin price already right now fair. No one wants to buy, no one wants to sell, right? So that's about Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum is a little bit more interesting on that, and Ethereum is also where I'm investing in right now. So if I have money aside, which I always do weekly, I currently put it either in USDT or in Ethereum. In Ethereum, we also have currently an open trade on Bybit, which is currently a clean 6.25% in profit, and obviously then with 20x leverage, we are seeing a good profit over here. This is our entry. Same thing in Bitcoin, right? We have the whole move that is uncorrected over here, right? In Ethereum, it's a little bit cleaner because the overcorrection is not as strong as in Bitcoin, since we finished this sequence. The major sequence is not finished yet. The secondary sequence, right, which is black number 2, this one here, we finished. Okay, you can see a beautiful build, price pushing up, correcting, pushing up, coming back, correcting, right? Building up stability, pushing up, finishing the sequence. That's really beautiful. Now, it was not enough to finish the sequence on the higher level, which is the primary sequence, which means through the system it is completely allowed for price to come back, to build up a more affordable price range for people to come in and then push the price up again, right? And then something like this is going to happen. And that's what I'm seeing for Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is doing the same kind of funny thing, since there's no real volume coming in and we still want to capitalize on it and we are taking a little bit more risk, is that we are plumbing and plumbed into a secondary sequence, or a third sequence, with it starting over here where we just have the push. So the same thing in Ethereum, we just have the push, clean push over here. We start to correct a little bit, not a real correction in terms of that we can say, okay, we corrected this whole move, right? So we only corrected until the 38.2 EMA, which is still a valid bullish sequence, obviously, a strong one. That's why price didn't correct anymore, because people just got in. And from here, we also have this whole sequence active, which is basically this one. So from this level up to this one, we are here in a buying zone, which is the black one over here. Okay, this one. And this one we are buying right now. So in this one, we have a bearish sequence finishing, C target finishing, perfectly beautiful. The red sequence here going into our C target, so you can see price in a bullish, okay, we are in a bullish sequence, okay, which is this one, the black one. Here we started to correct and we started to build up a bearish run, which perfectly ended in C target where we wanted to go. From there it started to react bullish again, because we are primarily bullish, and out of that we have a smaller sequence that it finished, and that's why I entered into this trade, because we have a bullish major sequence. We are reacting out of a C target of the major sequence, the second big one. So we have the first big one, we have the second big one, and then we have the third one that we are trading over here. From there, we have a beautiful bearish sequence that finishes here. We are in the buying zone of this black whole sequence, and we are entering over here. We are currently profit, right? So pretty clean in that sense. Our entry was somewhere over here. And from here we went up to here, started to recorrect, and we still see bullish behavior, right? We still see it wants to come back. It's a risky trade, and I'm at least gonna trade it up to the correction level of the whole sequence over here, because now we have the bearish sequence, which obviously has a whole correction level, which is this one over here. Okay, so this is a little bit more system driven today, this session, but that's how we really go deep into understanding how to find entries and why we are entering the market. Even if the market is not really doing anything right now, we still can squeeze out a couple of percent, which is obviously more risky instead of just waiting. But I saw it as a good trade, and let's see what happens. I'm break even anyway, so even if it goes into minus, that's it, right? Now, very interesting in general is that currently we got some interesting news, right? And these news were oh, sorry, I'll just do it different. Let's go over here. So we had a non-farm payroll, right? NFP news. Non-farm payroll is the update that it's every Friday, first Friday in the month, where the US releases their new job offerings, right? How many new jobs were created, or how many more unemployed people basically you have, right? So when we go into indexes and we go into DXY, which is the DXY, which is the index for US dollars, and obviously we are trading USDT, right? We are analyzing Ethereum versus USDT. So we are asking how much USDT do we need to get for one Ethereum. So if Ethereum goes up or down, obviously it's going to fluctuate the price. And right now we had US dollar being very bearish, just dropping, right? So we have this whole move where dollar is just losing value, building up a little bit of stability, coming up again, losing value, And we are also here in a bearish sequence, right? And as you can see here, we had CPI news, okay, price completely dropped, that's consumer price index, and then we dropped, now we started to correct. So dollar is strong right now, especially if you're trading Forex, you're seeing all the dollar pairs going down, because dollar is getting more value. And now we are here in the selling zone again, right? And we had the NFP news over here, okay? So price started to fall again, which should be its nature, right? Considering everything that's happening in the US. And then we have NFP news, and price starts to push up instantly for 1.62%, which is a lot in the Forex market. So this is insane, right? So dollar gains a lot of value again, goes up. Hasn't been there since, so basically, let's mark this price level. The last time we were there was in December 23rd, so over 2 months ago was the last time we had these dollar prices, or basically the strength, and we went up, and now we are in the selling zone again. But it's very important because these NFP news at the end of the day strengthen dollar, and at the end of the day we're asking ourselves, how much dollar do we need to buy Ethereum? And if dollar increases, right, we basically need less dollar to get Ethereum, right? So price should fall, but we're holding the stability, okay? Now, why am I teaching you this? Because you always need to take into consideration, especially if you trade intraday or swing trades, what is the price index doing, especially the dollar price index, right? And dollar is rising. But at the same time, the NFP news are fake anyways. Not fake, but how they calculate NFP is also like jobs created outside of the US. It's like a US citizen taking a job internationally. So that most people don't know that, but that's kind of like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, it's kind of fake. And it was positive, and that's why it was rising, right? Because it's positive for the economy, it's positive for the dollar in general, that obviously there are more jobs, and more jobs were taken in more positions, okay? Now, when we go into the next important step, and that is what is currently happening with US dollar, that's what we need to look forward for, especially also in the Forex market, but also in crypto, is dollar gonna plump again and continue to fall? Because especially there's the current conflicts and a couple of problems with with Texas and Dallas. So basically Dallas is the capital of Texas, but with Texas, that has about 30 million inhabitants, I think it's the biggest landmass in the US, the biggest state with the landmass, and also one with the highest populations in the US. Not the one with the highest, but one of the highest. And they kind of want to be independent. They are beefing with Biden because of the borders. You need to understand that their borders are insanely big to Mexico. It is like comparable from, let's say, Germany, Berlin to Ankara, Turkey, which is a 3 hours flight. That's how broad the border, and this whole part is exposed to Mexico, and illegal immigrants are coming in basically. And there's a whole shit show, right, where people are even saying that this could end in a war, or there could be like a riot and a big war, a civil war breaking out whatsoever. There was always conflict, not always, but 300 years ago, Dallas, I always say Dallas because I've been to Dallas, and it really engraved into my brain. Which was basically a shit show. Like, my friend got beaten up in the middle of the street in Dallas, pretty criminal. And but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that this event is kind of very difficult, right? So where we are right now in the markets in general, with Israel, with Palestine, with America having these immigration problems, and also especially Europe, especially Germany. So it's like kind of, you see the currencies basically bleeding, right? You see euro just plumbing, you see Swiss franc pretty strong, British pound strong, Australian dollar got wrecked. I don't know what news and what happened over here. British pound is also losing a little bit, but still staying pretty strong. And these are obviously important in terms of how do you trade Bitcoin. Do you trade Bitcoin euro, Bitcoin dollar, Bitcoin Swiss franc, Australian dollars, whatsoever, right? Because if we lose value, obviously we will need more dollar for Ethereum. It's going to make the price increase, right? So when the normal system tends to fail, cryptos tend to rise. It's not always cyclical, but sometimes even anti-cyclical, but that's the normal theory that we go by, right? If the normal currencies are bleeding, if they are losing power, then crypto should go up, should be more invested and look up to, and that's where we're heading a little bit. So that speaks also for the bullish move. But yeah, on a long-term, short-term, and mid-term run, that's currently what we are focusing on in crypto. Obviously, we're gonna go over two more pairs which are very important, but nothing really happening. One of them is Ripple, which is just basically falling, nothing happening over here. We're still in the buying zone, in the primarily buying zone, so we could still see price picking up somewhere over here, starting to build bullish sequence, and then maybe we can re-enter or something. But right now there's nothing that we can do. And then also when it comes to Solana very indecisive right now. We are reacting bearish, so we are seeing bearish reactions, and we need to correct anyways for Solana. So Solana, as we talked about last time, needs to correct to $67 US. That would be 30%. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. Might even sell right now and rebuy for 30% cheaper. Obviously not all of my positions, but yeah, so that's the current plan, and these are the most important pairs. All the other ones are just following the same pattern, so nothing really interesting over here. Total market volume, which we also talked about last time, is exactly doing what we're saying. We finished C target over here, and now what we really want to see is it correcting down to over here. We are losing another, about, how much is it over here, 20%, which is 323 billion US dollars in market volume, and then going into the marketing, re-entering the market, which we are also seeing here, that we are building these bearish sequence over here. Okay, here you can see a small one. It's not activated yet, but it's building up all the patterns for us to go down and correct the 20% in total market cap, in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, and so on. And with that being said, guys, don't follow, don't like, see us on the next one. Don't lose money, wait, be patient, don't overtrade right now. Markets are gonna go push. I know people are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. You're probably, as me, sitting there every day. I'm like, when do we start, bro? Like, when do we start? You know, you need to be patient. Otherwise, you're just gonna lose money stupidly. And with that being said, guys, see us on the next one. Hopefully it was helpful. Me educating you just makes me smile. I'm just happy. Didn't have a very good day today, and I thought, hey, let me go to the shower, let me get a shower, let me dress freshly, because I have a meeting now soon, and let me create some content, because that's gonna make me happy. With that being said, guys, just wanted to let you know. See you guys on the next one. Ciao, ciao.